liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tammy, would you please call roll?
Mr. Malinger.
Here.
Mr. Burge.
Here.
Mr. Craig.
Here.
Mr. Bogowski.
Present.
Mr. Erickson.
Here.
Ms. Duffy. Here.
Thank you.
Ms. Burke.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you very much. Let us first consider minutes from the last meeting, which was April 15th. You should have it in your packet. If there's any questions, please raise them. If not, a motion to accept them as an order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Minutes accepted. Audience participation. If there's anybody who wants to talk about anything which is not already on the agenda, this would be a great time to come forward and say your piece. And if not, we'll move forward. We have no final approvals or site plans or preliminary hearings today. My understanding is that the public hearing that we were going to have with Mr. Lewandowski, he notified us in due course of time that he would not be able to be here. So we would entertain a motion then to continue the public hearing to June, if someone would make that motion.
So moved. Second.
And all in favor, then please say aye.
Aye.
We don't need to roll call for that, do we? No, all right, cool, all right. No findings of fact. All right, this is an interesting meeting. We'll try to run it expeditiously because y'all have been waiting around here for a long time and we have a lot of things, but we'll try to pay due attention to it. A lot of the business of the Plan Commission comes because people bring petitions to us to change something. This is a little different because we are serving in our advisory capacity to the town, to the town council specifically, to make proposals to change certain things. And there's three things that we are going to consider in various states today. A change to the rental unit ordinance, which this body has been working on for several months. Potential change for exterior lighting ordinance, which the Environmental Sustainability Commission has been working on for several months. And then we're going to discuss a change to the zoning map, which has been generated by the failure to execute on what that PUD is. So this is a little out of the ordinary, but we'll take them a step at a time and go through it. So first, we're going to consider the proposal for the rental unit ordinance. So background for everybody. As part of the comprehensive plan, the Plan Commission took up the task of seeing where the town ordinance, as it regards to sections of the ordinance that are related to land use and performance and development standards and such, should be updated. And one of the things we took at were the related issues of management of rental units from a point of view of safety and health, short-term rentals to the extent to which they are related to that, and it was appropriate to consider at the same time, and changing approval of accessory dwelling units, AKA mother-in-law suites, et cetera, to something that would be handled with a variance to something that could potentially be done by right if they followed them. So we spent a good number of months looking at this and seeing what the state legislature was doing and considering options. And we created a framework document which we approved. In the course of approving it, we chose to remove certain things. We chose to remove proposing that accessory dwelling units could be built by right for a bunch of reasons, which I won't go into right now. But we decided that this was not an appropriate time to do that. We might consider it later, but we took that out of it. Then, when we voted on the framework as it was with that ADU removed, we turned it over to Mike and he began drafting an ordinance to correspond to that and worked with the lawyer to come up with the draft which we are going to consider right now. A possible course of action to execute our duty would be to vote on whether that ordinance, as it currently exists, is ready for public comment, so that there would be a public hearing scheduled for a later date where everyone would have a chance to look at it. We would receive public comment on it. we could then, after the public hearing, we could decide to accept it as is, to respond to the public hearing by making some changes to it, or decide that we think it is not in the best interest of the town to go forward with it. But in any case, what we would do is we would say, we would make a recommendation to the council of, to accept this new ordinance proposal, to not accept it, or to make some changes and accept it. So the decision we have tonight is to decide, is this ready to be put to public hearing? Are there any questions that we need to straighten out before that, before we would do that? Okay, so that's the process that we're going through tonight. So the documents that y'all got, where you got the draft ordinance, as it's put in there, you attached a copy of the framework document for your reference, and then there was a table in there where we tried to, as best we could, sort of create a hit list out of the framework to see, did we hit all of the items that are in there? I think there was 7 items where we said, this is somewhat different, either because it was executed with different language, or because we decided based on the advice of the attorney that, you know what, we can't actually regulate that. Or simply to explain how that item was fulfilled in the draft document. So for once, just as an example, in the framework, we said, we tried to regulate, we made a suggestion for regulating parking at short-term rentals, and instead what we decided, based upon review of best practices and the vice attorney, we said, why don't we just say that short-term rentals have to the town's existing parking ordinance will be enforced. That would be a more straightforward way of doing that. Okay, I should stop talking very soon. You've got those documents in there. Why don't we start by just saying, are there any questions that people want to raise about the draft ordinance as it exists right now?
Well, I just have one concern. The rental housing officer, that's a new defined,
In the definitions?
and it's a new position in town. It doesn't say that's a paid position, but I was just curious how if that is. That's the idea.
No, it's just me. It is by default, it says in there.
It's a role
It's just me. Yeah,
that someone
Another
must take
hat.
on.
it's just another enforcement place and run everything through.
I guess my only concern is, not that you wouldn't do an excellent job, it's just that we have a lot on Michael's shoulders.
Yeah,
People get sick, people retire, people switch jobs. I'm not sure if that puts us in a strong position, if that were to ever happen. That's my main concern. And I didn't know if we're charging per inspection, if that wouldn't be a better job outsourced, not a salary position, but just outsourced to building, an inspector that does that type of thing.
well, the plan at the moment is me, Jay, and Andy would do inspections. So we've got 3 people. If we need any more, then we would have to hire somebody,
If that's the plan, why doesn't it say that in the ordinance then? It just
It
says.
just says inspections, inspectors, so that's the theory right now is
It says
Jay and I
specific.
and Andy would do the inspections. So-
Okay. The ordinance does say just the building inspector, so did you guys want to switch that to anybody?
Nope. At this point, we're not planning on hiring extra people. If we need to, then I have to talk to the council about that.
Yeah, it is above
Want
my-
to just add, or his designee,
Yeah,
and that covers it.
Right.
Whoever Mike points, me, Andy, him,
yeah,
then as designee. And then if the town hires somebody later, it's still his designee, they're gonna work under him.
Okay.
yeah, and Andy's part-time and he has the capability of doing it, so he's the first person I thought of besides Jay and myself, so. If we need somebody, we'll have to.
It does say designee throughout the document, but just, well, this definition won't change.
In a definition, it could say that in definition, or whatever it says for inspector, but somebody has to manage the paperwork, so we haven't discussed that yet as far as, clerks and whatnot. Right now, business licensing, I think goes through, I mean, you work on it, Amanda works on it, it goes through the clerks. So as far as documentation, I would assume that would be similar for the applications and whatnot. It's just the inspections and reviewing the documents. We'll have to designate who's gonna do that. And it literally could be anybody that's reviewing them. We can find somebody to review them. Or I could have you do it if you want to. But, you know, we just have to.
Conflict of interest.
We just have a placeholder name in there, and then somebody has to do the reviews of the documents, and then the inspections have to be somebody who can do building and fire, which would be the three I mentioned so far.
Okay. And then the next one is, and this is my only question, is it says for rooming house and rooming unit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why it says 3 or more people. What, and then the rooming unit is you can have any amount of group, but they can't cook or eat. What about 2 people with a mini fridge and a microwave? Like, what is that? Like, where do they belong? Like, I don't understand why it said 3 or more. Or like, is that arbitrary or is that?
3 or more rooming units for a rooming house?
Yeah, like for rooming house,
Yep.
if it's gonna be defined as a house, it has to have 3 or more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't understand why it's not just like one person can rent that house.
Well, that's 3 separate rentals, like a threeplex or something. That's what that's intended to mean. Or rooming house in our code was Johnson Inn, actually is defined as a rooming house. Because it was all individual rooms in one building, so that, yeah, we could definitely look at that. I mean, any comments you get, you've already given me a bunch of really good comments, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So any comments anybody has, you know, let's put them all together and then we can discuss.
That was the only one. I just didn't understand it, because I'm like, what if you have 2 people and a mini fridge? Like, 'cause that seems like pretty
One of the
common.
answers to where some of these things came is because we found them in other code,
Yeah.
and they just,
But a rooming unit could be a bedroom, and, you know, the way that's written, there's dwelling unit, there's rooming unit, there's different terms. I took those from a different code, and we morphed about 5 of them together to make that, so. Yeah, anything like, just any questions, just write them down, and I'm not saying it's perfect, because you obviously found like 6 or 8 typos right off the bat, and I thank you so much for that. But when I stare at this thing for weeks and weeks at a time, I don't see that stuff. That's the
Well,
hard part about writing.
The nice thing is I do appreciate the typos more than you know, because it's human written and
Yes.
logical.
I know.
Maybe not AI, so
No, it's not a,
No, it's from a real brain that knows stuff.
no, and it's laborious, so
it's from AI, actual intelligence.
yeah, yeah. But I think if we compile, I guess the question I would have is, we compile all of your comments before we put it out
Yeah.
for public comments. How do we want to do that? Do you want to put it out for public comments before we do a public hearing? I mean, like, post it on the website and ask for comments. Do we want to do something like that?
Understand Mike's
Next.
question?
Next
Yeah.
few
I
weeks?
think that's a great idea.
I mean, even it's a draft, so I know it's not perfect and it's not intended to be, but there's, if we just put it up for public comments, can we do that before we have an actual public hearing? And then when we have the public hearing, we would put all the comments together and actually have the open meeting. I don't know.
Describe the mechanism. that-
I would put it on the
No, I
website.
don't, no, I do.
Let's describe, what's the mechanism for public comment, do you think?
Put it on, same as we do with the comp plan, we put it on the website. I'd send out a Savvy Citizen, I'd post it here and there.
Right?
I mean,
And then have people respond to your email address, or,
we can do the same thing we did before and create one if you want.
yeah, that might be good.
Just a clearinghouse for comment. The public hearing is an actual meeting, right?
Yeah.
In here. You wanna, she wants to ask you a question. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
What I remember on the top of my head and understand about when something is considered public record,
Mhm.
that it is considered public record when it is put on an agenda with some
Which it
exceptions,
is.
like with
Yeah.
attorney-client privilege, and maybe, dealing with disciplinary action or something like that. If you look at, but this is what I've always been told, it's considered public record when it's put on the agenda, so anything you've already had on the agenda
Mhm.
is considered public record if somebody wants to come in and look at it. And then
Right.
say, you know, make comment, am I right?
You-
This is from Public Access Counselor's office.
No, you're,
before.
yeah, that's right. It's
That
public.
one, I used to argue back and forth about stuff.
Do you want me to answer that
Please.
question? Yeah, things that are on the agenda are, they're public records and documents that are capable of being requested or reviewed.
So this is basically, anybody can go and get it then now?
Because, I'm just referring to the comp plan, because we all, you know, worked on the comp plan before. So the comp plan, we got comments from people, right?
Right.
Before we ever had. a
Via
public
several
hearing.
mechanisms.
Same mechanism,
Yeah.
I was thinking,
Yeah,
is just make that available for people to review and comment on. Then when we have the public hearing, that would be, you know, just more comments we get back in, but.
yeah.
Well, and we did discuss, and you didn't go as far as others that were kind of trying to blaze the trail on Fishers, for instance, that had years plus and spent exorbitant amounts of money on getting advice on how to do this, but workshops, et cetera, and like we talked about, if people don't participate, but if it's something that's posted on the website, allows it to be accessible, that might allow you to, if you find that helpful.
Yeah.
And people give you feedback and responses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, question,
Yes, sir.
when you did it for the comprehensive plan,
Mhm.
how much feedback did you get?
Well, we actually got quite a bit, given the way we set that up. So there were interviews that, you know, a lot of people up here did the interviews. We interviewed a lot of people, we put on the website, we got, I don't know, I can't remember the number, but double digits, I don't know, it was 20, 30. I mean, do you remember the comments? 30 comments, 40, 50, I don't know.
And to his
We
point,
had some decent comments, and then when we had the workshop, we had people at the workshop, so that would be the public hearing, I guess I would say that would be the same thing. So
And we had a survey,
we had a survey and we had. all
and
that
then we had sort of
Yeah.
this public
So
comments.
we did a lot more for that, but if we put out for public comments, and quite frankly, the two fine people in the back had called me a couple days ago about the same thing. So I said, here's the draft. So they're compiling comments for me right now. That's why they're at the meeting. So, we have that ability to get comments before we actually have the public hearing, which I think is great, because that gives us a head start. And of course, it's very dry reading, so I don't say read it all at one time, but, you know, Tara did a wonderful job already going through it and finding stuff, and she has questions already. So that means she has laboriously read through this thing.
And other people will too.
There's a lot of technical stuff in there. It's, what I'm trying to get captured correctly when we wrote it based off the framework was, you know, we have a registration process for regular rentals. We're only allowed to charge $5 per state code. We can do short-term rentals, we can charge $150. So those two things are nailed down. I put placeholders in there for fines and all the other stuff, which are probably too low. So I just threw them in there, you know, for you guys to review and give me some feedback on what's a deterrent to somebody. Low fines are not a deterrent. I just filled placeholders in there. So there's a lot of stuff in there related to what should be in a rentable building. That was part of the issue when we started, was there are a few sketchy rental places around here that we haven't had any opportunity to inspect. And this gives us the opportunity and legal authority to inspect them, so we can look at them before somebody complains on their way out of the building and says, I've been living here for 2 years and it's terrible, which is usually what happens, if I hear anything at all. Our biggest thing is we have Orchard, which is a
Right.
large complex. That is going to be difficult to go through. I will just have to talk to the lady in charge of rentals, or property manager, and then we have to, you know, that's gonna take a long time just to do Orchard. Most of them are single units. There's a few 3 and 4 unit buildings. Of course, we have the one down the street here. So I think the majority of them are short-term rental single houses at this point, which really don't take long to inspect.
Right.
I mean, you can knock out, you know, depending on where you're at, you can knock a few. Jay and I have inspected buildings before, and, you know, if it's nothing really bad, it takes you 10 minutes. If there's lots of issues, it might take you a lot longer than 10 minutes, but you still have to write up your inspection report, which we haven't created yet, and make sure everything's good, and then go through the paperwork. So each one of them takes time to do, but once we get started on it, maybe they won't take that long. But the whole ordinance is certainly subject to any comments you have in revision, so there's nothing etched in stone in there. And if something's wrong or confusing, then I wanna fix it.
Right.
It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all your comments are appreciated, and then if you wanna throw it out for public comments, I can just post it and do that if you think that's a good idea. More the merrier.
I don't mind throwing it out for public comment. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, okay.
We postpone tonight or table it tonight till next meeting with the understanding we'll put it out for a couple weeks of public comment?
I think, yeah.
Can I make that motion?
I will second that.
Discussion about it? So before we vote out, let's be as clear as we can. So the expectation is we would, the public comment would be included specifically in the next meeting, but we're also saying, but we are open to public comment via the mechanism of posting it on the website, having people respond. We should decide if it's gonna be M. Berry or Plan Commission or whatever, just decide on that. And then that, if we could, between now and then, any typos, changes, good ideas, could be put into a draft and markup, and then that would be discussed at the next one. And then we would decide, potentially, at the next meeting, to put it for public hearing on the following, right? That's the sense of what we're voting on? All good?
My only question would be, would you rather, although it is public record now, would you rather have your best version before you put it to the public? Because even Brian has pointed out an inconsistency as we sit here, and my only thought in that, not to delay it, so if you want to keep this on a faster path, there's nothing wrong with that, and say, hey, it's not perfect yet, but we wanna share it sooner than later, so that's one thought process based on your motion. The other is to create less confusion on things that might need to be cleared up, and so to the
Right.
extent we can do that. So I'm not adamantly opposed to either, just want you to make an
Right.
informed decision.
So I think we are not voting on whether we are going to decide next time to put it to public hearing.
Not
I-
hearing even public comment on the version that you would send out there. So my point is, do you wanna have your best version out there from the plan commission? Or do you wanna say, hey, it's not perfect, but we wanna share it sooner than later?
You wanna compile comments amongst the commission members, get those in there, and then put it out to public comment, say in 2 weeks?
Well, I think you can't make a decision, so you may have two people on your commission
Yeah.
that disagree on
I know.
those.
No, they never do that.
So, what that would maybe entail is you have to wait another month to compile your version again, and everybody given that final read, or you have a motion standing that says, let's share the, not perfect document, we know that, but we wanna get it out in the public and allow those comments to knock down the number of revisions, for instance.
Can I withdraw my motion?
You can.
Because I like what he just said. That we table it till next meeting while we all get our own recommendations in first.
I'm just thinking, for the way we've been doing this, basically, Rob and I have been married to the hip working on this thing. So, if you guys wanna send comments to Rob, and then Rob and I will get together and we can tweak it for the next meeting. Would that be okay, Rob?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Jay, is your motion that we would not?
I withdraw my previous motion and would like to motion that we table this till next meeting, giving the commission a chance to submit changes or corrections or whatever for Mike and you to present to us at the next meeting. To decide if we're gonna move forward then.
Got it, right. So this could be available because it's a public record,
Correct.
but we're not going to,
Ask for public comment yet.
deliberately ask for public comment. Okay, that is the motion.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion?
She beat me to it.
I'm still
Roll call,
reading the
please.
motion. Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Burge?
Yes.
Ms. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Legowski?
Aye.
Mr. Malinger?
Yes, the motion passes, so this will be available, and if anybody happened to have a copy of it and want to talk to any of us after the meeting or anytime, we would love to hear it. Okay, thank you very much.
I don't know.
Right, that's that. I'm gonna give a really quick background to the next thing, but then I'm gonna ask,
Oh, excuse me, Rob, I'm sorry, can I just ask a quick question on this last thing? Do we have a deadline that we want to get our comments to you by? I'll work really much better if I have like a date. Is it by the next meeting, is it in 2 weeks?
well,
2 weeks.
you know, Mike and I are very flexible,
You're
but just
great.
do it as quick as you can.
I'll have it to you in 3 days.
Yeah, if you find,
After Memorial Day.
yes, if you find a hole below the water line, call us at any time, night or day.
All right, thank you.
Great. So the Environmental Sustainability Commission addressed an issue of exterior lighting. They created a document, which was guidelines for how to craft an ordinance to address exterior lighting. And then Mike and I researched the other what our towns do and created a draft ordinance. And then I believe it was on the agenda last night.
It was.
Mike, would you tell us what happened last night?
Well, Tammy is at the meeting, but Jenny sent me an email and said, yeah, we reviewed that. I didn't print it and bring it, that would've been smart, but they had some comments on how we would implement some of that. And of course, you know, I want comments, that's why I sent it to them first also, so we get comments back on how this gets implemented. Tara sent me a lovely email today, and I appreciate that so much, about some of her comments on it, and I think it would help if, you know, Tara and I and you worked on creating this better draft. It's, and I, you know, Rob says we put it together. I watched Rob put it together on Claude AI, so it's an AI-driven thing. It's really impressive how it works, but also the AI puts goofy things into it, and you have to clear out the goofy AI stuff. So it's just a rough place to start, basically, is what it does. And then we just have to polish it into something that we want. But there was, you know, basically all the stuff that the ESC asked to put in there is in there. It's just probably not worded properly yet and polished up. And then there's some stuff in there about businesses and when they would have to implement certain things. Jenny's questions, Dimitrov's questions were on where the bird migration section would be and what the boundaries of that would be, because we put a portion in there about migrating birds and lights. So she was asking what the bounds of that would be, and she emailed me today. So those are questions, again, same process. We need to get a bunch of questions put together, polish it up so it's actually worded properly, and then move forward with it. So it's just the first draft of a working document. But we don't have a lighting ordinance. So where this started was we have a few issues where there's lighting nuisance problems. We don't have anything in our nuisance code about lighting. So one of the ones that I've been dealing with is a motion sensor light, security light that shines into somebody's house. Well, there's no code against that. All we have is the generic nuisance language that if it, you know, affects somebody's, whatever the wording is, right to enjoy their house. So that needs to be addressed, so we have that in there. Then I have another one where there's a flagpole light mounted on someone's house aimed at the flagpole, which just shines in the neighbor's window. And that's addressed in there. We put in there, again, thanks to the ESC, they put a lot of stuff in there about coloration of the lighting. So the warmer light, 3,000 Kelvin or lower, is better for birds than the bright lights. So that's in there. What would we do with people that already have security lighting that's 5,000 K bright lights like me? That's what I have in my house. I also live in the middle of an 86-acre farm. It doesn't shine anybody's face. So But how do you address that where you have neighbors on top of each other? And you obviously don't want blinding lights shining in someone's house. You know, they're allowed to have security lighting, but it should be such that it's not offensive to the neighbors. We have the Johnson Inn that has stupid lights on it that are shining in several people's houses that I hear about all the time. So that's what started all this, is we don't have anything related to lighting. So we're trying to put a regulation together. It's not a dark sky ordinance. It's got parts of dark sky ordinance because they have a good place to start. But, you know, I get this phone call every few weeks. I wish there was a street light in front of my house that's dark. I wish the street light in front of my house was gone because it's too bright. So, you know, that's the opinion you have to deal with. This is the thing where you need to get a lot of input on it, see what people think, and what people want in the code. So at some point, it'll go to the council, and then the council's gonna take our recommendation and say if they like it or not. Maybe the council doesn't all agree on it. But that's how we do this. That's the process we do. And Rob's put a lot of time and effort into it. Tara already spent a lot of time reviewing it, so I appreciate that. And the ESC started this last year, and I'd like to keep this moving forward. So, you know, we'll have lighting ordinance, there'll be a landscape ordinance, there'll be, you know, the things that we're missing right now. But that's a long-winded answer of how we got to where we are.
So as you can see, there's more than one motivation for this thing. Why is it here? Well, because we are an existing body that the council can use to run a public hearing. So we're an appropriate venue to review this, form our own opinion about it, host the public hearing, respond to that, and then execute our overall role. We are an advisory board. So the council, Mr. Burge here represented it, the council then would accept the recommendation for us to move forward with this or to not. And we have the opportunity, as we become familiar with the content and as we listen to the public hearing, to respond and maybe make some tweaks. So that's where we're going with this. So what I want to suggest is, you now have a bit of the background. You've got in front of you these materials. Please, between now and the next meeting, you know, see what these materials say to you yourself, see if you have questions for it. Send the questions to Mike or to me about what they are. We'll try to iron it out. Maybe next time you'll see a very similar document. Maybe it'll be changed. But then at the next time, then we can make sure that we are up to speed on it and decide at that point, is it time to go to public hearing for that. So no action is required, no voting action is required of you right now. This is a request to become familiar with, to take a look at your homework, and expect that this will be on the agenda next week or next month, ultimately then to decide to go to public hearing or not. Okay?
Yeah.
All good on that?
And I'm gonna say this, I don't know if my definition of fun and yours is the same, but this is more fun stuff to do, because you get to shape policy and get your input in there, and, you know, it's something, we don't have a lighting code, so we're creating something out of nothing, so.
And the nice
I
thing
think
is,
this is more fun than some of the stuff we get to do.
I'll say,
So there's a lot of work behind it, but it's still more fun to do. And since there's more people on this board, we get more comments from 7 people than 5 people, so.
they do good work.
I was gonna say, it's a very worthy endeavor, so thank you guys very much, the Michael, Rob, and Tara, for your efforts on this and the,
Don't include me, that's all them.
okay.
And the
Both of you, thank you, and then
Thank you.
also the
Thank you,
Environmental
guys.
Sustainability Committee, the work that
That
they've
was-
done. I think it's a worthy endeavor to delve into, and for all the reasons Michael mentioned.
Okay, finally, we have an issue of an expiration for the PUD. Mike, you want to give that quick historical background for this?
So our old water park property, they had a PUD, it was approved in 2020. If nothing happens on it, in 5 years it expires. Part of what they're supposed to do is they put a final detailed plan together, which came to the Plan Commission back in 2020. They got an extension on that and added a year to it. So that actually expires today. That's why I had to put it on the agenda. There's new ownership of the east side where the PUD was located. They're basically don't want this still hanging over the property anymore. It's never gonna get built. I thought it would be easier to just have the plan commission handle the expiration and abandonment, and there's procedures for that, and then at the point where it's changed back on the zoning map, it reverts back to what it used to be until such time a new project comes forward, and we no longer have this unbuildable PUD hanging out there. So it is expired and considered abandoned by code, both of those things. They never did any construction, they never did anything. I've been waiting for, and oddly, it's the same day, so May 20th of 2020 is when it was originally approved, and it's May 20th today, so I've been waiting for May 20th, so.
Here we are.
But the zoning doesn't revert automatically? It has to
We
be-
have to
There-
vote
okay.
it back into, so you could either change the voting or revert it back to what it was before. It was zone B3 before, and it's kind of irrelevant, because any project that comes in here, unless you don't want a B3 zoning, any project comes in here is likely gonna be a PUD, and it's gonna require going back through here. However, if it goes back to B3 zoning, then that gives somebody the ability to come in there and build something that goes into B3 zoning, which is a car wash, gas station.
Or a
in
racetrack.
case. Yeah, so I don't know if we wanna revert it back to that or just change it to something else, and that's, what would have to get voted on. It was B3 for years, and nothing got built on it. It got changed to I think it's R4 PUD right now.
Do the owners have a preference?
The owners don't have a preference, so the owners just want it gone, so they don't have to worry about it, and we're still in the process of talking to different developers, trying to figure out what to put there. I talked to somebody yesterday about it. They're trying to line somebody up that's interested in development. So we're just waiting for another project to come along, but in the meantime, there's not really much point in keeping it there since it's not gonna be built. So, and it's expired and abandoned. It meets the requirements of both of those.
And not to advocate against that though, but why wouldn't the current owners, they're gonna have to do duplicative efforts in the future if they
Yeah.
want another PUD
Yeah.
or to rezone it,
Yeah,
so.
they could,
I mean,
yeah.
they, even though you're gonna do their heavy lifting, it may be
They-
that they have to start all over, which again is their prerogative and at least you clear your books, but
they
it
will
seems to me
start.
they should be interested.
Yeah, they will
Yeah.
start all over, yeah. But they don't like this PUD hanging there. They're not gonna build it. And the way.
They don't want an apartment
The
complex.
way they look at it is when they're trying to do any development, it's sort of a bad stigma on the property that has the PUD attached to it, so. I don't know.
Mr. Mandan, is there a recommendation that you'd have for zoning that property? B3 doesn't sound, I'm sorry, would you have a recommendation for zoning?
I'm sorry?
Would you have a recommendation for zoning,
If you don't want B3, I would leave it the way it is.
which is
Until
R3?
someone else comes in.
Is it zoned R2?
Just leave it as a
It's
PUD.
R4 PUD right now.
Yeah, it's a PUD right now.
So we just leave it, okay.
I mean, it's more likely to be developed if you rezone it into either B2 or B3. But if you don't want those uses there and you want a PUD with the ability to talk, to the developer about landscaping and setback and appearance of the buildings and so forth, like a PUD offers you, then I would not change it. I would just leave everything alone. Don't change it back to B3 if you don't want B3 uses there.
So if
Sorry,
it's
these things are
expired and
working tonight.
abandoned, should we do anything and just acknowledge it's expired and abandoned? I mean, you can't build it now. It's expired.
In our
If you
comprehensive.
don't change the zoning, is what I'm saying.
Right.
What do you do?
In our comprehensive plan, one of the possible actions, which we have not got around to, was to address the zoning classifications to see if there were things that were more aligned with the overall goals of the comprehensive plan. We haven't taken action on that. So, as Mr. Mandan says, he's addressed the two obvious alternatives. Don't touch it, leave it PUD, on the assumption that nobody's gonna build exactly that, wait for a better proposal to come up, as opposed to put it with the B3, which means, whoa, somebody could build something we don't want there.
Yes.
The third alternative of describe what we would want there is not currently available to us, because we have not, so far, taken up that action, and that's a pretty heavy lift. Really, and I'm not just saying to discourage us from doing it, but just to be realistic, it will take many months for us to think about, well, what do we mean by this new recreational business zone or whatever? That option is not available to us tonight.
So if you don't change the zoning and it's expired and abandoned, do we just acknowledge it's expired and abandoned and it doesn't?
Yeah, I think that would be the case. Nobody could move forward on that as it is, and they would have to take some
They'd have to start
action.
over.
That's right. But they're gonna have to start over anyway, and
I
again,
know,
I'm not
yeah,
suggesting,
I know.
but maybe it will help them if there is if you're looking to help out new owners with potential development that you'd like to see in this town, and you leave it as is, then making a public statement and giving a consensus on that might help them, because
Yeah.
one of the points you made is they're having a difficulty maybe attracting people. So that if the implication is that you're willing to work with and change that,
And
but
stay
you're
with
not, you want something more definitive versus you just changing it on a whim, or reverting it back, which seems to be not necessarily what you'd like to have happen there. The pause or the
Yeah.
break is leaving it as is.
Yeah, and if we, I'm gonna use the word acknowledge, I don't know what the right word is. If we acknowledge it's expired and abandoned, I can send them a letter and just say, PUD's expired and abandoned, to new owners.
Yeah,
And
and I think that would be sufficient. You could take
Yeah,
a vote
cover
directing him to send that
Perfect.
letter.
Okay. Yeah, that'll solve the issue, I think.
I'll make the motion that we acknowledge this and have Mike send the letter.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I like these.
Please take a roll call.
Sure don't want a big traffic generator.
Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Ms. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Burge?
Yes.
Ms. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Bogowski?
Aye.
Mr. Malinger?
Aye.
Cool.
The motion passes. Thank you very much. Appreciate the advice. We are done with other business and old business. Mr. Burge, anything that you want to share with us from the council?
I think, Michael, anything that you can think of? We got a new fire truck coming.
Fire truck, yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. It'll greatly enhance our capabilities from the fire department's perspective and how they can conduct fire suppression and rescue. So that's a very positive, exciting thing.
Great news.
Yeah.
Mr. Willoughby, any news that we should hear from the legal sphere?
I've shared all I have.
That's great. Board comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask Mike, you said on the east side, are they still talking about condos on the west side?
It's still for sale, sort of, but they don't have it listed again, so I don't know what's going on.
And who, well, you probably
Same
can't say.
people own it. I've had 2 builders contact me about building townhomes, but neither one of them have bought it. So I don't know what's going on with it.
Okay,
It's just-
thank you.
Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night. Thank you all for coming.